Trans fats have long been a topic of concern in nutrition and public health, and the process by which they are created, hydrogenation, has come under increasing scrutiny. Hydrogenation is a chemical process used in food manufacturing to convert liquid unsaturated fats, such as vegetable oils and processed fatty meats, just like hamburgers, into more solid forms. This process not only extends the shelf life of food products, but also changes their texture and stability, making them more convenient for mass production and distribution. However, the downside of hydrogenation is significant, as it leads to the formation of trans fats, substances now widely recognized for their negative impact on human health. When unsaturated fats are hydrogenated, hydrogen atoms are added to the fatty acid chains, transforming some of the natural cis bonds into trans bonds. This chemical alteration produces trans fats, which are not commonly found in nature and are notoriously difficult for the human body to process. While the hydrogenation process itself primarily focuses on changing the structure of the fat molecules, it can also result in the formation of trace byproducts. Scientific analyses have identified substances such as methanol, carbon dioxide, hydrochloric acid, arsenic, benzene, and many more as potential byproducts present in minute quantities after hydrogenation. Although these compounds typically occur at levels considered safe by food safety authorities, their mere presence in foods has led to concerns and calls for more rigorous regulation. Some misconceptions have arisen regarding the presence of heavy metals and other toxic chemicals, such as cadmium, lead, arsenic, or cyanoacrylate, in hydrogenated fats. However, in some cases, any trace amounts that might be found are typically due to contamination in the raw materials or as a result of industrial processes, rather than being a direct consequence of hydrogenation itself. Food safety regulations in many countries set strict limits on the allowable levels of such contaminants to ensure that the food supply remains safe for consumption. For example, the levels of arsenic and lead permitted in food ingredients are monitored and controlled to be well below thresholds that could pose an immediate health risk. Despite these regulatory safeguards, the presence, even at trace levels, of potentially harmful substances highlights the complexity and risks of industrial food processing. Methanol, for example, is a toxic alcohol, and benzene is a known carcinogen. Hydrochloric acid, while widely used in industry, can be harmful in sufficient quantities. Carbon dioxide, though a natural byproduct of many processes, is harmless at low concentrations. While these substances are generally found in vanishingly small amounts in food products containing trans fats, a slight overdose of trans fat due to these toxic materials can be very risky. Despite the chemical hazards in trans fatty acids being a massive culprit, the primary health risk associated with trans fats is not from the toxic contaminants, but from the ultimately unhealthy and dangerous trans fats themselves. Extensive research has linked industrially produced trans fats to an increased risk of coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, cancer, necrosis, brain damage, strokes, sleeping disorders, and hundreds of other chronic conditions. The World Health Organization has estimated that trans fats contribute to millions of deaths from coronary heart disease each year worldwide. Recognizing this grave public health threat, the WHO has led a global initiative to eliminate industrial trans fats from the food supply. As of 2024, 53 countries have implemented best practice policies to restrict or ban trans fats. protecting nearly 3.7 billion people. Yet, a staggering 5 billion people remain exposed, underscoring the ongoing need for global vigilance and reform. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration took a decisive stance in 2015, determining that partially hydrogenated oils, the primary source of artificial trans fats, are not generally recognized as safe for human consumption. This landmark decision led to a nationwide ban on the use of partially hydrogenated oils in food manufacturing, forcing companies to reformulate their products and spurring innovation in the search for safer alternatives. Global health authorities, including the WHO, recommend that trans fat intake should be limited to less than 1% of total daily energy intake. For a typical adult consuming a 2,000-calorie diet, this equates to less than 800 milligrams per day. Importantly, most experts and regulatory bodies do not advocate for even this modest amount as a target or safe threshold, but rather as an upper limit. Lower is always better. There is no biological need for trans fats, and their consumption should be minimized as much as possible in order to avoid painful damage. Contrary to the belief that hundreds of milligrams, or even less than a gram, is a safe or recommended allowance, the evidence suggests that the optimal intake is as close to zero as possible, given the adverse health effects associated with these fats. Public health campaigns have also focused on raising awareness as of hidden sources of trans fats. Even in countries with bans on partially hydrogenated oils, small amounts of trans fats can be present in animal products or as unintentional byproducts of high-temperature food processing. Consumers are encouraged to read ingredient labels carefully, looking for terms such as partially hydrogenated oil, which indicates the presence of artificial trans fats. The scrutiny of hydrogenation and its byproducts has also sparked innovation in the food industry. Manufacturers are investing in alternative processes and ingredients that can deliver the same functional benefits as hydrogenated fats without the health risks. However, each of these alternatives comes with its own set of nutritional and environmental considerations requiring careful evaluation. In summary, the hydrogenation of fats is a process that, while historically beneficial to food preservation and manufacturing, has brought significant health risks to the forefront. Trace contaminants such as methanol, carbon dioxide, hydrochloric acid, arsenic, cadmium, and benzene may be present. However, despite these additives being toxic, the true danger lies in the trans fats themselves, which are strongly linked to heart disease, cancer, fatty liver, and other serious illnesses. The global movement to eliminate industrial trans fats is a testament to the power of scientific research, public health advocacy, and regulatory action. By staying informed, making wise food choices, and supporting policies that prioritize health over convenience, individuals and societies can continue to reduce and one day eliminate the threat posed by trans fats in our food supply.